China has delivered a stern warning to the Philippines, demanding an end to what it calls provocative actions in the South China Sea. Beijing accuses Manila of escalating tensions by involving outside powers like the United States. Chinese leaders warn that these moves threaten regional peace and could have serious consequences. China insists its control over the disputed waters is final and vows to defend its claims at any cost. The Chinese Defense Ministry even warned the Philippines of self-inflicted destruction if it continues its current path. Beijing views Philippine activities, like encouraging fishermen in contested areas, as direct challenges to its authority. China has made it clear, foreign support won't change the outcome, and any attempt to disrupt the order will be met with a decisive response. These warnings are meant to pressure Manila to back down and handle disputes bilaterally without outside interference. The Philippines, however, believes its actions are necessary to protect its own rights. This fundamental disagreement sets the stage for a dangerous and ongoing standoff in these vital waters. Both sides remain entrenched, with no sign of compromise. The risk of escalation continues to grow as each side refuses to yield. Tensions spiked after a recent clash at Scarborough Shoal, where Chinese Coast Guard ships used water cannons against a Philippine supply boat. The Filipino crew suffered minor injuries and vessel damage while delivering supplies to local fishermen. The Philippines condemned the incident as aggressive and a violation of international law. Manila reaffirmed its commitment to defending its territory and maritime rights, vowing not to back down. China defended its actions, claiming the Philippine boat was intruding on its sovereign waters. Beijing insists Scarborough Shoal is Chinese territory, citing historical treaties and declaring the area a nature reserve. Critics argue this is just a tactic to tighten China's grip on the region. These confrontations highlight the real dangers faced by sailors and fishermen in the disputed waters. Each incident adds fuel to the fire, making peaceful resolution more difficult. The standoff is no longer just diplomatic, it's playing out in real time at sea. Both sides are determined to assert their claims, regardless of the risks. The cycle of provocation and retaliation continues. The potential for escalation remains ever present. The Philippines' decision to host U.S. missile systems has infuriated China. Beijing warns this move could bring self-inflicted destruction and sees it as a direct threat to its security. China accuses Manila of inviting danger by allowing advanced American weapons so close to its shores. Chinese officials claim this is part of a broader U.S. strategy to contain China, risking a new arms race in the region. The Philippines defends the deployment as a purely defensive measure, asserting its right to protect its sovereignty. The Typhoon missile system marks the first U.S. ground-based launcher in the region since the Cold War, a major escalation. For Manila and Washington, it's a show of alliance. For Beijing, it's a red line crossed. This single act has transformed a territorial dispute into a high-stakes military standoff. The region is now on edge, with both sides unwilling to compromise. The risk of miscalculation has never been higher. The balance of power in the Asia-Pacific is shifting. The world is watching closely as tensions mount. China is deeply critical of the Philippines' close military alliance with the United States. Beijing claims this partnership is less about security and more about containing China's rise. The Philippines, however, sees U.S. support as essential for its defense against Chinese pressure. The U.S. has pledged to defend the Philippines under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, including in the South China Sea. This promise emboldens Manila to resist Chinese advances. Joint patrols and military exercises have increased, further angering Beijing. China warns that relying on the U.S. makes the Philippines a pawn in a larger geopolitical struggle. The alliance, once ambiguous, is now a clear deterrent, but also a source of heightened tension. Both sides are locked in a cycle of action and reaction. The stakes for regional security have never been higher. The Philippines recently joined the U.S. and Japan in joint maritime drills in the South China Sea, drawing immediate condemnation from China. Manila says these exercises demonstrate its commitment to defending its maritime interests and upholding international law. The drills, involving ships and aircraft from all three nations, signal a united front against external pressure. For the Allies, it's about promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific. China, however, sees the drills as a deliberate provocation and a threat to its sovereignty. Beijing accuses Manila of stirring up trouble with outside powers. Japan's involvement highlights a growing regional coalition concerned about China's actions. These exercises deepen security ties among U.S. allies, but also intensify Beijing's sense of encirclement. What might seem like routine drills have become major geopolitical flashpoints. The perception gap between the sides only widens the divide. In response to Allied drills, China launched its own naval and air patrols in the South China Sea. The move was a clear show of force, signaling China's determination to defend its claims. Chinese officials accused the Philippines of spreading misinformation and collaborating with foreign powers to create conflict. Beijing insists its actions are defensive, aimed at protecting its sovereignty and historical rights. The war of words has spilled over into other issues, with both sides trading accusations beyond territorial disputes. China firmly denies allegations of illegal activities, calling them slander. This tit-for-tat escalation increases the risk of miscalculation. Each side responds to the other's moves, creating a dangerous cycle. The potential for a small incident to spiral out of control is real. Neither side is willing to back down. The region remains on edge, with tensions at a boiling point. A landmark 2016 International Tribunal ruling favored the Philippines, declaring most of China's South China Sea claims invalid. The court found China's 9-line had no legal basis under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Despite this, China rejected the ruling and refused to participate in the case. Beijing continues to build and militarize artificial islands, ignoring international law. The Philippines, backed by the US and allies, insists the ruling is the only legitimate basis for resolving disputes. China's refusal to accept the decision keeps the conflict deadlocked. The legal standoff is a major obstacle to peace. Manila regularly raises the issue at international forums, but Beijing remains unmoved. The dispute is now a clash between international law and historical claims. With no agreed rules, force and coercion dominate. The risk of future conflict remains high. The South China Sea is a vital global waterway, carrying a third of world trade worth trillions of dollars. Any conflict here could disrupt global supply chains and impact economies worldwide. The region is rich in oil, gas, and fisheries, resources crucial to both China and the Philippines. Millions depend on these waters for their livelihoods. The dispute is also a test of international law and the power of global treaties like UNCLOS. China's rejection of the 2016 ruling challenges the idea of a rules-based order. The standoff raises questions about whether international law can restrain powerful nations. The South China Sea has become a central arena for US-China rivalry. The US and its allies seek to ensure freedom of navigation. China wants to secure its perceived historical territory. As both sides dig in, the risk of miscalculation grows. The dispute is no longer regional, it's a global flashpoint. The world is watching, hoping for restraint. The China-Philippines dispute threatens regional peace and stability. Frequent clashes, military drills, and harsh rhetoric have created a volatile atmosphere. Both sides are unwavering, each blaming the other for aggression. The involvement of the US and Japan has turned a local dispute into a global concern. Manila vows to defend its territory with allied support, while China is equally determined to protect its claims. The risk of a minor incident escalating into major conflict is real and growing. Both nations are building up their military capabilities, preparing for the worst. Without compromise, the South China Sea will remain a dangerous flashpoint. The future depends on whether diplomacy can prevail over confrontation. If not, the consequences could be felt far beyond Asia's shores.